Okay, well now it's my pleasure to introduce the main event. I'd like the three candidates for State District 7B House of Representatives to please come to the front. Roger Reinert, Jay Cole, and Alan Kerr. Let's hear it for our new candidates. Now, we do have the candidates have another event downtown after this, so we have to move expeditiously through our agenda this evening. With that being said, I'll get into the first question, and we'll just go from left to right, starting with Roger Reinert. How will you work at the state level to increase funding for Duluth's budget, and how would this help the current deficit?
Thank you, Heath, and thank you everyone for having us here tonight. I think it's important that we spend time in core neighborhood assets, which I think the Lincoln Park Business Group has been for year after year after year. And I just want to quickly build on the story that the mayor was telling. I've got a friend who is about 24, 25 and has invested in Lincoln Park, in the business district. Bought a building, it's Martin Swinski. He's promoting the venue as a place for younger adults to come down and be doing things in not only Lincoln Park, but this part of town. And those are the things that we need to see more of. But to come and directly answer Keith's question, the challenge for us next year is that the state is projected to have a $4 billion deficit, $4 billion. The state has a budget of about $37 billion, so that's about a little over 10% of the entire state's budget that will be in deficit next year. So we just got done having a conversation with the mayor about what the city's budget looks like. Part of the message is the city's not alone. The state is in budget crisis, and certainly we all know what's going on at the federal level. So is it realistic that we're going to get more next year? I don't think so. Is it realistic that we can get at least what the state has pledged to us in the past? Absolutely. The main source of revenue for city government is local government aid. And that's the main source of revenue for most local government across the state. Each year the state comes up, the legislature comes up with a formula. It's very complicated. It would take about an hour and a whiteboard to try and draw how it's all put together. But for the last several years, it's been consistently underfunded. It's one of the main issues that we have with the city's budget. And one of the crisis issues that the mayor didn't mention that we're all paying attention to is if indeed the state forecast in early November comes back with $4 billion, it gives the governor the ability to unallot things. So in our language, that means to not pay the bill. And in this case, it might be a $13 million unallotment to the city of Duluth in local government aid. So the reality of getting more from the state next year, I think, is unlikely given a $4 billion deficit. But we sure need to get at least what has been budgeted in the past in terms of local government aid. Most of you are probably aware, but property taxes are not the main source of revenue for local government, especially here in Duluth. In Duluth, property taxes are actually third. Sales tax is first. Local government aid is closely in second, and then property taxes is a distant third. So that's a very important component next year.
Thank you, Roger. Now, once again, Alan, how will you work at the state level to increase funding for the Duluth's budget, and how would this help the current deficit?
I don't know that we'd be looking at necessarily increasing the budget in Duluth. We've got to take care of what we need to take care of, but there is an awful lot of places I think we can find some effectiveness. We've got to be smarter about how we spend money, and that I think is one of the main emphasis here. You know, if we go back and we think about the history of Duluth and how many times the taxpayers have been put on the hook for things, you know, we've got to stop that behavior. For example, the Lake Superior Aquarium. I spoke to the city council basically begging them not to put the taxpayers on the hook for the bonds that were let for the aquarium. My argument was, if it's such a good economic idea, the private sector would have already done it. And sure enough, they were back and have been back year after year. Roughly $300,000 a year is what we spend to bail that thing out. And so we have to be smarter about our spending. That's one of the big things. In terms of LGA, you know, okay, it's our main source of funding, but there's something wrong with that. You know, legislators go down there year after year and they argue and spend, you know, hours and hours arguing what city's going to get what's the formula going to be, and it's such an unpredictable funding source that I think ultimately we need to figure a way to move away from LGA as a source. Really what works and needs to work really everywhere, I mean, it costs money for a state entity to shut up, you know, to the county or to the school or to the city, and that costs money, moving money around. So there's more savings that we can look at. So we need a healthy economy. We need it not just for the city, of course, but for the state and the federal levels as well. And so what creates a healthy economy? Well, we need to look at regulations. I meet people every day that complain to me about the regulations that they labor under when they try to conduct their business or their private lives. And taxes, same thing. I think both of my opponents have talked about taxation and raising those taxes, or at least will need to if they really want to fulfill some of their promises. And I'm just strong on holding the line on taxes. Again, if we stop spending money in many of the silly places that we have, we'd have plenty of time, or plenty of money, and we wouldn't need to raise taxes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And now third party candidate, Jay Cole, same question.
Thank you. I think we have to work to make every individual more responsible for this situation. One of the things I've mentioned before is we are going to have to work to make government more responsible. The city is working very hard at cutting their budget, and they might have to cut it more. But I also believe very firmly that we're going to have to raise taxes on $75,000 and above. That would be something that I would work towards, and I think that is one of the ways to help increase and benefit us. And we need to focus on investing in small businesses. That's really the foundation of our economy. I mean, most of you guys here are all small business owners, and know 80% of our economy is run by small businesses and jobs. By creating jobs, we draw more people in here. I really feel that those areas, working to do that, and just working to make government more responsible and work harder.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Testing, there we go. Thank you, Jay.